Live from the CBS Broadcast Center, this is CBS 2 News at 11.
Breaking news on the Long Island Railroad. Tragedy on the tracks in Westbury. Two trains collide with a vehicle on the tracks, and then one of the trains slams into a platform and derails.
It felt crazy. It was nothing that I've ever experienced before.
Next thing you know, like everybody running from the back.
Tonight, 3 people are dead, survivors on stretchers, a platform badly damaged, and riders stranded at Penn Station. So what will it all mean for the morning commute? Good evening. I'm Maurice Dubois.
And I'm Christine Johnson. Now on CBS 2 and streaming on CBS New York, officials say the train that derailed was traveling at a high rate of speed.
Right now, Chopper 2 is live over the scene where there's a trail of destruction and a massive police investigation underway. The chaos unfolding just before 7:30 tonight in Westbury.
The inside of one of the trains is badly damaged, and the vehicle that was on the tracks is destroyed. You can't even recognize it. We have a team of reporters covering this story tonight, beginning with CBS 2's Jessica Layton. Jessica?
Christine and Maurice, this was a fiery crash. We're told not one, but 2 trains actually collided with that vehicle. This should have never been on the tracks at that point. One of those trains behind me right now, you can see police tape is still around it. 3 people in the car were killed. 7 passengers on the train, along with an engineer and a conductor, were taken to the hospital. And if it happened the way authorities are saying it did, this is a tragedy that could have been prevented. A mess of twisted metal inside one of the LIRR trains that struck a vehicle on the tracks in Westbury Tuesday night and crushed concrete, where the locomotive then crashed into the platform, causing cars on the train to derail.
Flag number call placed mutual aid to Westbury. A full department response to a train derailment. Union Avenue and School Street.
A vehicle traveling on School Street went around the gates as the eastbound train was traveling eastbound.
The vehicle the train hit burst into flames and was so badly crushed its make and model were unrecognizable. All 3 people inside died. Chopper 2 shows the extensive damage from the air.
At that point, my understanding is then a westbound train traveling towards Westbury Station then impacted with the vehicle. Vehicle was pushed westbound, and that's when the front 2 cars of the westbound train came off the rails. The platform was damaged.
Moments later, another train traveling from the opposite direction also smacked into the vehicle that authorities say attempted to go around the gates.
They have multiple people in the train.
In all, there were about 900 passengers affected. Investigators will be working throughout the night to look into the extent of damage to more than 200 feet of rail. Right now, there are several MTA workers still walking around the train, taking measurements and trying to determine exactly how much of the track will have to be replaced. That remains to be seen. Police have not yet been able to identify the 3 people were killed. As for those 7 passengers taken to the hospital, along with the conductor and the engineer, they are all expected to be okay, although we are told, as you can imagine, that engineer was very shaken up by what happened. We're live in Westbury tonight, Nassau County. Jessica Layton, CBS 2 News.
All right, Jessica, thank you.
Now, you can just imagine what it was like inside the trains during all of this. Passengers terrified, trying to figure out what just happened.
CBS 2's Valerie Castro live at the scene with that part of our coverage. Valerie.
Well, Christine and Maurice, right now, police are still keeping us a few blocks away from the tracks. But earlier this evening, from this vantage point, we could see those stunned passengers being taken off the train with the help of emergency responders. As Jessica mentioned, some of those passengers went to the hospital. Others continued on their way on buses, still shaken by the experience.
We felt a thud, a really hard thud, and then the brakes just snapped. It felt crazy. It was nothing that I've ever experienced before.
Kiara Jackson and her children were among the hundreds of passengers on board this LIRR train headed for Penn Station Tuesday night when it slammed into a vehicle on the tracks in Westbury. LIRR passengers saw the smoke and some began to panic, thinking the train was on fire.
And then all of a sudden, the people from the last cart, they started running towards the front, saying that the last car was on fire.
Next thing you know, like everybody running from the back.
Very scary. Yes, very scary.
Emergency vehicles quickly arrived, taking the injured away by ambulance. One by one, the remaining passengers carefully made their way off the train with the help of emergency responders and MTA officials, relieved it wasn't worse for those on board. The extent of those injuries is still unclear, but officials tell us that the passengers that were taken to the hospital were taken out of precaution. Live in Westbury, Valerie Castro, CBS 2 News.
Valerie, thank you. Dan Rice is live in Chopper 2 now with a closer look at the damage from up above. Dan.
And Christine, when you're looking at there, that's School Street. That's where the accident first started there, where the truck crossed over, the train started hitting it. About 1,000 feet down the track, you see the pure violence of this crash. As we zoom into the Westbury station, what you're going to see are those two trains that derailed and just plowed through the east end of that platform, knocking it off of its pilings there. You see the yellow safety zone in front of that train. That was shaved away by the train on the pieces that were knocked down. But that platform, the only thing that keeps that train from going down to the street down below there. Obviously a very violent crash down there. People on the train lucky to get away with minor injuries, but again, crews will be out for quite some time trying to piece this one together. Reporting live in Chopper 2, Dan Rice, CBS 2 News.
Okay, Dan, thank you. And as you can imagine, a number of stranded commuters tonight at Penn Station. 2 LIRR branches suspended due to the crash. CBS 2's Allie Bauman live at Penn right now with more. Allie.
Well, Maurice, for 11 o'clock at night, it looks a lot more like rush hour down here. Some of these people have been standing around for hours, and they still don't know when they're going to get home. Crowds of LIRR passengers have been waiting in confusion at Penn Station tonight, with Ronkonkoma and Huntington Port Jefferson branches suspended in both directions indefinitely since about 7:30 p.m. Some late commuters have been trying to reroute their ways back with transfers and buses. The MTA is now setting up shuttle buses between Hicksville and Babylon, but most lines are either delayed or not listed here at all. And so many passengers have just been trying to stick it out, waiting and hoping for the board to change.
There's nothing on the board for Port Jefferson for the next 3 hours, so I don't know what I'm going to do.
I was trying to get a 9:15, but there's a 10:30 or so that they can't even guarantee will happen. So I don't know how long I'm going to be here.
There's nothing on the board.
Not a clue?
Nothing. I have no idea. My wife is telling me she's watching you guys on TV, and she's telling me she doesn't know either.
MTA officials said there are likely to be delays for the morning commute. Those shuttle buses will keep running until the morning, but which lines will be affected and for how long is still unknown. We're live at Penn Station. Allie Bauman, CBS 2 News.
Okay, Allie, thank you. And we'll take another live look now. The scene from Chopper 2, the scene in Westbury. 2 trains slamming into a vehicle. 3 people in the vehicle are dead. We'll have the latest on the investigation and what you need to know for the morning commute. CBS 2 News this morning starting at 4:30.